There you go. We are live this morning on my Facebook page. I am going to go ahead and share this deal, guys. Good morning. Come on in here. Happy Saturday morning. You don't want to miss this morning's conversation. There's the notification. There's the notification. It's about to happen this morning. And so, happy Saturday, everyone. Look at that. They're starting to pop in here. Let's do this, guys. Let's do this. Happy Saturday morning to each and every one of you. And please do me a favor and check in. Let me know where you're watching us from. The past few weeks, man, we've had hundreds of persons taking the time to check these videos out. And the goal, here's the goal, okay? While y'all are coming in here, I'm going to talk about the goal. The goal is to help you create a life you don't need a vacation from. Finding your place, accepting your lane, realizing, listen, there cannot be another one like you on the planet. Now, once you capture that in your heart and your spirit, listen, you become unstoppable, okay? And so I'm going to go ahead and share this a few times. If you can do me a favor as well and share, that would help me out a lot so we can dive into this conversation. Naomi, listen, Naomi, you are going to get one of the most faithful viewers award. I'm going to make sure we hook Naomi up. Billy, I see you watching. Billy, my assistant. Billy, we got to hook up Naomi and make sure she get blessed. Manetta is another one of them. Thank you, Manetta, for joining us this morning. Guys, this is going to be a conversation that's going to change lives forever. Okay, so don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. This is going to be good. All right. Now, what I've been doing is I've been bringing in people who I believe have tapped into something that the vast majority of people haven't tapped into. And I believe that once we figure out the recipe, guess what? You get the opportunity to cook up that batch like anybody else. So, listen, this morning I'm Coach Ricardo Miller, and I'm joined with my kingdom brother, Bishop Awalski Moore, all the way in Birmingham, Alabama. Good morning, Bishop.
Good morning, Coach Miller.
Listen, man, how's Alabama? I know you've been doing some great stuff there, but how are you doing there in Alabama?
Man, we're well. Of course, we're going through just like the rest of the world. Yep. But outside of this, you loosely using the term, there's unpredictable weather, bipolar weather that we're dealing with. Instead of being Alabama, you can experience all 4 seasons in one day.
Man, listen, for a long time, I thought they only said that in Texas, but I've heard Alabama to be that way. Listen, Bishop, for those viewing us, we have a lot of people in Europe that's been following me. Canada's following me. Obviously, Bahamas is always on point. I'm here in the United States, and man, our Nigeria crew, you guys may be sleeping right now, but will get a chance to watch the rerun. Listen, tell them a little bit more about your initial story, the starting of Awalski Moore.
Well, Birmingham born, Birmingham raised, Birmingham educated, public city school system. I got my undergraduate in management from an HBCU, Historically Black College and University, Miles College. Started preaching at the age of 20, and the journey has expanded from there.
Listen, so I know you 100 for the area. Come
on. I've always had an inclination, a strong drive, a commitment to the Christian tradition, and in such, at the time that I embarked on this journey of identifying and being clear about purpose and passion, that doing the destiny, I was 20 years old, hearing dialogue and conversations, people saying what I was doing. But once I clearly was able to decipher that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, I've been the journey and hadn't turned back yet.
Wow, that's good. I want you to talk about your journey into. I know when you kick into grabbing a mic for the first time to preach, to the acceptance of the pastorate. But man, the knowing that this is the place where I belong, and I believe that this is what I'm going to give my life to. Talk about that journey and that awakening moment where you felt as though, man, I'm not going to give my life to anything else but this thing.
Uh, again, 19, 20 years of age, the consistency of the God that we serve.
Yeah.
Uh, I kept hearing the voice. I kept hearing the voice. I kept hearing the voice.
Yeah.
I'm actually in undergrad at this time, and classes and things of that nature. So visions, the voice of God distinctively speaking to me. And I'm not saying that that's the pattern for everyone, but that was the pattern that God showed up, and he spoke specifically and saying, preach. So I think that for me, it was inescapable. It was nowhere that I went. It was nothing that I was exposed to that it did not identify in some shape, form, or fashion that, hey, I'm called to preach, teach the word of God. The transitioning from preaching to pastoring was a greater transition because I had no inspiration at all to pastor. I was at one of the most progressive churches in our city. At that time, I was on staff part-time there, doing well. And Dr. Gregory Clark, who's my covering and founding pastor, he was very instrumental in the eagle and the eaglet and actually pushing me out of the nest.
Yep. Wow, that is wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Coach Ricardo Miller. You're joining us here Saturday morning live. I just want to inspire somebody to find their place. And let me tell you something. Don't settle until you find your lane. There's a place where you belong. And the place where you belong, there is no comparison. The place where you belong, you shine bright like a diamond. You set the standard when you wake up in the morning. Listen, when you show up, nobody can be like you. And so if you're watching today, please go ahead and plug in where you're watching. Right now, the Bahamas is in the lead. Bahamas is in the lead. Ohio is representing, but the Bahamas is still in the lead. We got Canada represented in the house. And listen, I need you guys to plug in and let me know where you're watching. But in addition, as I'm talking to Bishop Awalski Moore, I want you to talk to me and let us know in the chat, have you found your place? Because I'm talking with a man who, like he said, 1920, he tapped into something and he realized this is the place where I belong. And so we want to hear from you guys. Make a note down below. And what is it that you found that you belong? Business? Come on. Are you in the medical field? Are you an educator? Come on. Are you in ministry? What is it that actually causes you to say, listen, I got this? Birmingham, Alabama just checked in a couple of times and say, listen, we in the house. We are in the house. Listen, Bishop, over the years, obviously, you've had a lot of tremendous experience. What would you say has been your greatest three moments that you like, wow, over the years that just bless your heart? And there were little crowning moments of God and possibly man saying, you're doing what you've been called to do.
Of course, being elevated to the office of the bishopry in 2017, when another man in the person of Bishop Neil Clarence Ellis, for me, saw the body work, the servitude over the years, from one reformation to another reformation, being faithful in both to elevate us to this high office, to serve the people of God, even on a greater local and national and global level. That was one of the major moments for me. This is a story I tell. The other great moment for me was to invest in people over the years and to go through a divorce, to be hurt, to actually live inside of my ministry. The people that I pastor, I'm leaving when they're leaving. and coming back later under the pretense that nobody knows I'm actually staying at the church. Group invested and putting me up for a couple of weeks. That was a crowning moment, I think, when you pour into people. And at a time of brokenness and hurt for you, people turn around and pour back into you. People that I've been privileged to pastor and pour into. That was a crowning moment for me, and to have the same core over 20 years, man. That for the most part we've had turnover just like everybody else, but for 20 years, the base of my ministry has stood strong and consistent. Crowning moments when you see people coming in and getting out and things of that nature. The consistency of God and the consistency of ministry for me has been a beautiful experience. So I think that those three things instantaneously comes to mind and stand out for me.
Listen, man, wow, thank you very much for sharing that. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a journey. We're talking about accepting the fact in our pursuit to live life effectively. Hey, listen, there's a place where you discovered, I think this is where I belong. Come on, this is where I belong. And it's different for a lot of people. Bishop Moore, one of the things I discovered, man, there are some guys, you pull up your car and they'll fix your car and they'll fix the other person's car and they'll fix the other person's car. You bring your car to me, your car gonna be parked outside for a couple of weeks. I ain't fixing no car because I ain't know how to fix no car. Okay. and so there are people who have discovered that the place where they belong is in a mechanic shop. There's people who are dentists. There are people who are teachers. They have an appreciation for being in the classroom. But you and I, we found that ministry over the years has been our thing. I'm so grateful for you sharing those three things. I wrote down a couple of questions. In your opinion, and I know there have been a lot of influential voices in your life, but who is one of those? Give us a couple of the more influential voices that has helped guide and navigate you through the seasons that you have experienced in ministry and life as you live life to the fullest.
My mentor, Otis Wayne Disney, who's no longer with us, really became the catalyst that was used by God to help navigate me into finding my place of passion and not a place just to get paid. And him being actively engaged in my life around 1989, I began to pursue purpose and not just getting paid. I think Steve Harvey puts it this way. He says, a career is what you're paid for. A calling is what you're made for. So that kind of began to help me shift to being purposeful in the decisions that I made. So Dismute was instrumental in helping me find what I love to do, what I'm driven to do, whether I'm getting paid or not getting paid for it, because I think that that's what pushes you beyond the pain, passion or purpose that drives. Of course, both Bishop Ellis and Bishop Frederick Hardy have been instrumental, along with Dr. Clark of New Hope Church, in helping me shape my life from a pastoral perspective. And my parents, man, be celebrating in a couple of weeks 52 years of marriage, and I've been in that journey with them for 30 of those 52 years. I'm 50 now, be 51 next month, and so 1 year of marriage, and then I come into the world and the whole dynamics. But to see their faithfulness to one another, to see them go through life together, and their unyielding support, the good, the bad, the right, and the wrong. They never endorsed anything wrong. that I've done, but they never deserted me in the process.
Wow, wow. Listen, you said so much that I want to just pull pieces out of them because, man, listen, ladies, you better watch this again. Every one of you guys watching this and pull those nuggets up, pull those points up. You said the pay and the profit. I want to talk about that for a moment. The pay and the passion. That was what you talk about passion and the pay, and the reality of it is it's a delight to be able to find your passion and be paid.
Absolutely.
But there are a lot of people who are just being paid and they're not in their passion.
Absolutely.
And Bishop, I've been teaching you want to create a life you don't need a vacation from.
Yep.
Well, you know, it's in you. You're like a bird in the sky. This is what I was born to do. You know, you're like a fish in the water. And I believe that, listen, if you're watching us today, I want you to start thinking as you reflect over the first 11 months of this year and you decide to close out the last month of this year, remind yourself, I'm going into the new year to tap into passion, and I'm okay with getting profit in my passion, but I'm not going to just work and become engaged in being a robot and a systematic person that's not enjoying life to the fullest. Bishop, you mentioned that you found that place. Let's dive into a couple of things. You've seen young ministers coming up, and people have a passion for ministry, but oftentimes there are some common mistakes you would have noticed, I would have noticed. Let's drop in there a couple of things that you found to be a very common mistake that is being seen from the seat you're sitting in that of up and coming ministers. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching, go ahead and put in the comment box something that you believe you've seen as a common mistake that is starting to be a trend that's not good, and that maybe for those that are coming up now wanting to experience life to the fullest needs to honor and respect. Bishop, share with us.
Well, I think impatience.
Yeah.
Impatience has always been something major. And in the current culture that we live in, the social media, television, those platforms can be an asset, but they can be so detrimental if the narrative isn't complete, if it's not painted from a holistic perspective, because so many times you see people where they are, but you don't know the process, the stages, the steps that they've had to go. So if you get a glimpse of the now and don't come back with me 20 years ago, you have a glimpse, but not the total ability to glean from the process. So impatient mentorship, having men and women, God, I know Dr. Miles Monroe was instrumental in your journey, as well as Apostle Wells and others, Bishop Ellis, along those lines. Having folks, a mentor, in my definition, Ricardo, is someone that knows what you desire to know, that's already been there and know how to help you get there. It's willing to be taught. So I think some people want the power without the process, want the proof without the pain. Want the shine without the sorrow, and when we get caught up in those things, so impatience, I think mentorship is very important, and identify purpose. I think they look sometimes at so many different individuals. Man, I was a chameleon at one time because I didn't know my true identity. So I'm taking a little from this one, a little from that one, and trying to be someone that instead of being my authentic self, I'm trying to be someone that I can't be. So those would be three things that instantly jumps out at me when we're talking about that particular impatience, a lack of mentorship, and being clear of their identified purpose.
Wow.
So, over the place when you do that.
That is so good, man. That is so good. Let's talk about that. Let's go back for a moment, just on mentorship for a moment. Let's talk about that. I've been teaching someone is assigned to help you. There's a statement that says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You know, we're not alone. I've heard you drop the names of people who have come along and assist you over the years. In my book, effective living, I talk about, I said, I am the collective contribution of a lot of incredible people who have come along and assist me up to this point.
Yes, I got the book. I read it. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Right. So a lot of people would think, you know what, he think he's self-made. Nobody's self-made. I'm definitely not. And I try to put in as many people because there are so many people. But let's talk about allowing someone to help you and the submission process because there is a need for that.
I think you have to be able to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
To allow somebody to see you in a raw stage, an undressed stage where because I don't think you can really get help if you're in denial. You can say what you want, but not be with my workout regimen, things of that nature. And some people say I wouldn't do all of what you do. To define and work. I've seen you getting it in as,
come on, trying to do it.
Yes, sir, as well. But I think you have to approach those type of situation on a blank canvas. If you go in with already preconceived things, I'm gonna do this, but I'm not going to do that, you're not really ready to be mentored. I think you have to totally be submissive to the leadership of that given individual in that given area if you're going to totally benefit from it.
Yes. In addition, Bishop, you talk about that discovering of purpose. I mean, there are people who are, you said you were a chameleon at some point, looking and taking all of these different pieces, where there are a lot of people who don't want to do the work to find themselves. You know, over the years, I found myself, I've been a 20+ year veteran in children's ministry. And I remember when God shifted me from that to now building this effective living platform. I remember looking and seeing my season of children's ministry where I was all over the place. You know, I was all over the place. Now I'm in this effective living space. I'm locking in and I'm loving it, Bishop. What I've discovered is the more I lock into me and the purpose to which I bring to the planet, the more God advances me in my gifting. And so talk about locking in, because the thing that if a person locks in, they don't realize it really solidifies them so much more than trying to be the copy that everybody else is.
Listen, I heard, I watched an interview, Bill Hobble interviewed Bishop Jakes, T.D. Jakes.
Yep.
And I think we talked about this a little bit loosely in the past. And some people, some coaches teach, once you find your main thing, you focus in on your main thing, you put all your energy and effort. But Bishop Jakes is an anomaly in the sense that he's been able to do multiple things and do them exceptionally well.
Yeah.
So Hobble asked him that question, and Jake says, "What about if you're not housing a tree but a forest? Yeah. What about what's within you is a forest, not a tree?"
Yes.
Yes. Like what he says, Ricardo. He says that communication is my thing.
Yes. Yes.
But how I communicate is diversified.
Right.
So I think once you find your primary passion and purpose, some of our cases, there are layers.
Yes.
I think your effective living was birthed out of children.
It's most certainly right. Most certainly right.
Yeah. And so it's you're still coaching, but you're coaching the masses and not just that segmented group. And I think sometimes that's what happens when we minimize or limit ourselves to one thing. But I believe that there's a synergistic flow. That should transpire as communicators. I communicate from the perspective of preaching and teaching, from writing, from lectures, from speaking. Those are spinoffs, but my main thing is communicate. It's helping people. My drive is to help people identify purpose. That's what, and I get excited about that. That
Yeah.
once somebody gets in their lane, identifies who they are, and go after it. And so I think you need to know what your main thing is, and those things that are spinoffs of that particular main thing.
I like that so much because Bishop T.D. Jakes, like you mentioned just now, he is one of those persons who are helping a lot of us, especially clergymen, to accept that one lane is not necessarily having to be what you are only known for. But I want to say this to those of you that are watching: everybody does have a lane at least. Then there are others who have multiple lanes. And you got to first start off with being faithful with your one lane.
Yes, sir.
You know, and Bishop Jake's story, I mean, in him being faithful in that one lane and learning how to drop those seeds to become a forest. I like that analogy as well. I think there are people who are watching us, Bishop Moore, who fail to remember, especially those of us that are of faith. The Bible talks about the different seeds or the talents. Sorry, one was given one, and the other one and two, and the other one 5. And the reality of it is, the one who had 2 doubled it, the one who had 5 doubled it, but the one who had 1 buried it. And I think there are so many people burying their talent. You want to share anything about the fact that there are so many people who are just not tapping into what they bring to the planet?
Statistics show that the greed people, only 27% of the greed individuals end up working in their profession.
Wow.
So there's 73% of people that end up working in areas that they didn't necessarily go to school for.
Wow.
Digging, and I love that analogy, but the growth process starts in the dark.
Yes.
And eventually blossoms to the light. You plant that seed. That seed goes through the process of development underground. By the time you see that seed begin to blossom and turn into what it's purposed to be, the roots have been solidified.
Yes.
Samuel Chan, Dr. Samuel Chan writes a masterful book that's been, I think people want the power, but not the process of the pain. And so that's what I believe helps a lot of people sway away from it. He talks about leadership pain and the classroom of growth.
The classroom of growth, ladies and gentlemen, the classroom of growth. Go ahead, sir.
and I think people, and it's back to presentation all over again. Anything that causes people pain, they run away from it. But sometimes that pain is to develop and help. When I'm trying to develop a different muscle, it's pain process. But the consistency of going back and continuing to go through that process, knowing eventually that the pain won't subside and the development is going to emerge.
Come on, that is some good stuff, man. The the classroom process. You know, I did a message one time, and I talk about life is a test. And you know, we don't get to choose when the test comes. Come on. We don't get to choose, man. Listen, I've come to learn that in my lifetime, man. I'm like, listen, I ain't judging your papers. I've got my own papers, man. I'm trying to navigate this thing to come out with a pass. I want God to say a pass. Listen, his pass is different than other people's view of my past. But listen, you mentioned a great book, Dr. Samuel Chan. What has been your favorite book, or a couple of your favorite books that really comes to mind as a leadership book that has helped you journey this walk that you have been on?
That book, the Pain of Leadership, or Leadership Pain, definitely John Maxwell book, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of leadership has definitely been a aid to me along and Dr. King's book that he wrote years ago entitled Strength to Love.
Wow.
I believe that that's a narrative because I don't think everybody has the same leadership platform, but everybody has some area of leadership that they engage in. Everybody, John Maxwell defines leadership as influence.
Yes. Yeah.
Some people can influence a family. Some people can influence an organization. Some people can influence a ministry. Some people can influence corporations. So it's those three books that jump out.
Wow. Let me go ahead.
I go back and there are some books that I try to reread at least every year, along with adding on. And I think that Chan's book for me in this season has been very instrumental because he takes different phenomenal men and women throughout the discourse of their development and uses that as a segue in for them to tell their story to share. And so it gives life and light to us that are on this journey.
Nice. You mentioned earlier that you went to university. I know you long enough to know that you've never been shy of investing in yourself in relations to your development. How important is that? I mean, there are people who they want to acquire greatness, but they unfortunately sometimes don't want to pay the price for the greatness. And I'm talking about the literal price. I'm talking about literally cashing out to buy the Samuel Chan's book, to enroll in a night class, to get coaching and mentorship through course, to ensure that it accelerates the process of you getting to where you're trying to go. Talk to us about that, because you have done an exceptional job in making sure that you invested in your future to become who you are today.
And still doing it. I'm in seminary now. Working my master's in ministry, and it's demanding, especially when I'm more of a classroom type of person and having to do it virtually after almost 2 decades of not being in that intense learning environment, but always finding seminars and certifications and things of that nature throughout the years that your investment you can't live above your learning.
Wow.
So if you and I don't continue to position and posture ourselves to learn, your learning determines your earning.
Yes.
You take the L off of learn, you got to earn.
Come on. Yes.
I think that well-read, well-taught, well-exposed individuals separate themselves from others. I have a quote that I use, Ricardo, no days off.
Yes.
200% more. The process of being exceptional, and that's the reason I've always liked being around you, gleaming and us sharpening each other, sharing information and things of that nature. We share and talk about books that we're reading, things of that nature. I think that the investment determines what you value.
Wow.
If you don't value being a better man, a better woman, a better leader, a better servant, a better husband, a better wife, a better child, a better employer, a better employee, a better entrepreneur, etc. If you don't value that, you don't invest in it.
Wow. If you don't value that, you don't invest in it. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you're coming to a close of a full year in the midst of a pandemic, there are people who are growing. There are people who are changing. There are people who are embracing the opportunities that are in the midst of this pandemic. And I've been saying, watch this, someone is going to end this year strong in the midst of a pandemic. Someone is declaring they come in out of this year with all that belongs to them in the midst of all this chaos. And so, as Bishop Moore just mentioned, you got to be willing to pay the price. If you value it, Be prepared to pay for it. You know, Bishop, there are some places, man, that are unapologetic about their prices, and you get what you get versus the marketplace. I'm from the Bahamas, and you know, when you go to the marketplace, there's, you know, there could be 200 vendors out there, and somebody could be selling something for $60, and because it's a marketplace, and it's just almost like an auction. Is anybody got something to give in relations to it? Okay, I was selling it for 60, but if you give me 45, I'll give it to you. I really don't want to do that. But there comes a time you got to get to the place where you scale yourself to a place where there's no compromise in your prices. And there are some places you pay the price or leave the store. Talk to us a little bit about that.
You put a value on it.
Yep.
Cost is determined by price paid.
Yes. Wow. Yes.
You paid the price to do what you do.
Yes.
The way that you do it.
Yes.
And you devalue yourself when you come. There have been places. I have a writer that I send out when I'm being asked to speak something, and I've never charged to preach. But it ranges because if you don't help people see your value, they'll devalue you.
Yes. Wow.
So if you're asking me to leave on days that I'm obligated to my ministry to come to do something there, I say in these ranges. Well, somebody took that and they spoke negatively of you just ought to take Jesus paid it all, you know. Charge for the gospel. I said it was expensive. It cost him his life.
Yes.
So I poured my life into what I do.
Yes.
And Bishop Jake says it this way: never make a demand until you're in demand. So market, knowing the area that you are sharpened in, and I concur. You get to a point where you don't compromise. Listen, I operate off of love offering. I don't get a salary in the traditional sense of salary, so I'm really more so working off of commission as a pastor. And we know from a scriptorial perspective, that's a profession.
Yes, it is.
But I've seen individuals invest because of what they've received.
Yes.
And you know that there's a value to what you're giving, you have a right to expect a value in what you're receiving.
I like what you said, man. He said, listen, when they perceive, listen, because see, somebody said, I'm gonna pay for that. Listen, you know, you perceive value, but if they don't perceive value, they won't want to give anything. And it could be valuable, but it's just not perceived value to them.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason why some people say, I'll never pay this. That's fine. You will never pay this, but obviously someone will.
Absolutely.
And don't hate on the person who sees value in coaching, who sees value in going back to school, who sees value in buying the book, who sees value in elevating themselves like that. Let me ask you this question as we bring this into a close, Bishop. How would you say someone discovers their purpose in ministry? What is it that would be the thing that sort of you sort of, I think he's in it, I think she's in it, and they may just be entering it, but it's definitely the place. And over the years, I know you must have seen people who found their place but didn't even know that they found their place. And unfortunately, there are some people who are drifting because they never stayed connected long enough to flourish in the place that they had acquired or discovered.
My personal journey, I started doing what I found out later that I was called to do, without even looking from a compensation perspective. See, I think that you what you're doing with the effective living narrative that you develop, I think this doesn't work for me. Finding what you love, finding what you're driven to do. What's your passion? What are you What do you love doing?
Yes.
Irregardless.
Yeah.
So there have been days on this journey of pastoring. Like,
Yeah.
man, I'm not coming back here
Yeah.
to deal. But what I said and what was within me, because what's in you comes out.
Yes, that's right.
In you,
Yeah.
I don't care how many classes some people take the same. They can go to the best formal teachers
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, you
You
can't
ain't
create
got it.
what's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But you can draw from what you've already possessed. Man, listen, my desire to teach, equip, and empower and impact people's lives,
Yeah.
I'm driven to do that.
Yes.
So now, what are you drawn toward?
Yeah.
What's your learning bent? What is it that some people love kids?
Yeah.
I'm helping to raise a daughter that is not biologically
Yeah.
fine, but she's as much daughter to me.
Yes. Yes.
You understand? But
Yeah.
I've been doing it,
Yeah.
Ricardo, 3 decades
Wow. Yes. Yes.
for helping raise other people's children. And now the Lord has given me the unique opportunity
Yeah.
to father this young lady.
Yeah.
And so it's dealing with the pain,
Yeah.
dealing with the process,
Yeah.
dealing with problems.
Yes.
It's all a part of it.
Yeah.
But purpose is the reason you exist. Why
Yeah.
you're here.
Yeah.
And you can't escape it. So when you're mad, when you're sad, when you're disappointed, you can't get away from it. I
Yeah.
think purpose is inescapable.
Wow. Purpose.
But people
Yeah.
allow other people
Yeah.
to paint the picture or the narrative for them. And when I awaken to that reality,
Yeah.
is that my narrative will not be identical to anyone else's.
Someone else's. That is the truth. That is the truth. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Effective Living Saturday Morning Conversation. I have Bishop Awalski Moore joining me this morning, and we're just talking about his journey and the principles that he discovered to live by, and some of what he's been teaching. Listen, for those of you watching us on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and those of you right here on Facebook, please do me a favor, tag, share, and invite someone. I've asked you guys to check in. I'm going to go back and see where y'all are watching from. I want to see who is holding it down. Bishop, Alabama, was all popping in. Listen, Alabama was popping in. Listen, Alabama is in the house. And so thank you guys for sharing and being a part. What principle would you say, Bishop, as we bring this in, 20-year-old Awalski Moore now, where you're sitting down, the seat you're sitting at, what would you say if you had to sit Awalski Moore down now and give him a dose of what you have discovered up to this point?
Son, embrace boundaries.
Yep.
One of the lessons, everybody doesn't fit in every circle of your life.
Hold on. I'm going to repeat that just for you while you're going on the other. Everybody does not. Say that again.
Everyone doesn't fit in every circle of your life.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, that's a learned thing. Because Bishop Mahigo had to give us a couple more. But listen, knowing that, learning to embrace that, and being prepared to accept the various opinions of people when you start to own up to knowing that everybody won't stay. Everyone wasn't meant to stay. Some people want to come. There are certain dynamics as to where they place themselves at certain junctions in your journey. Oh my goodness, that's loaded right there. Go ahead, Bishop.
Another thing I didn't understand early that when they said patience is a virtue,
yep.
Once God showed it, I thought it was supposed to instantaneously appear.
Yep.
And so it's trusting the process. There have been some things that I got away from that I should have stuck to because of not trusting the process. And so that would be another thing. And I think, and this would be the apex of them all. Never treat people how they treat you.
Wow.
Treat them how God treats you.
Yes. Wow.
the battle of what we do and how we serve rumors, lies, speculation by people that you've allowed in your sphere, and to not retaliate. I've tried to live a life over these years because the younger me would come for you. But the mature me has learned how to look beyond the person and see the lesson that I'm supposed to be getting from this particular situation. So boundaries. Everybody doesn't fit in every class of your life. Trust in the process for the picture to totally be developed over time, not overnight. And treating people the way God would have them, and not allowing them to pressure you into trying to. My premise, Ricardo, because I'm big on consistency. Anything that I don't believe I'm going to be able to consistently provide through services and things of that nature, I don't usually typically venture into that, and I don't allow my parishioners or anybody else to push me into doing such and such, doing this, such and such, doing that, such and such. Well, that's not my assignment. First of all, I don't have the infrastructure. Second of all, for that, I'm going to perfect this because this is what I know I can do and do well. And so I got away from being a people's pleaser to being a person pleaser. I'm trying to please God with my life.
Listen, guys, if you don't go back and rewatch those points just now, let me tell you something. Load it. Okay, load it. Bishop Moore, thank you, man, for getting up early this Saturday morning and sharing your heart and just challenging people to look at life from this angle. As I mentioned when we first started this conversation, the goal, I believe, is to create a life you don't need a vacation from. Finding the place where you preside, where you so in love with where you preside, because it's simply where you belong. And there are too many people who don't know that there is a place where they belong. And the truth is, the goal is to find that place, and only God knows that place. And you could find that place, and there could be a lot of people who don't like the place you decide to embrace because it's not the place they want for you. Okay, Bishop, I'm going to ask you to just pray, challenge, provoke, and remind those viewers that are watching. Listen, man, their mere existence is an indication that God's not done with them yet, and that you're still in the game. You know, we're in a pandemic, but you're still in the game. You know what I'm saying? You still got today, and I've been teaching, a new day is an opportunity to begin again. And so for those of you getting up this morning, you could tell yourself, I'm going to rise, I'm going to shine, I'm going to embrace my potential, and I'm going to end well. Listen, this year may have been extremely rough for a lot of people, but I'm telling you, you got to get your perspective in alignment with God's perspective. And you got to tell yourself, he can do more in the remaining days of this year than what you have had done in the first part of this year. So don't just be waiting on 2021. How about start looking for what God can do in the remaining time in 2020? Bishop, your closing remarks for us, sir.
Job 36:11 says, if we obey and serve him, we'll spend our days in prosperity and our years in pleasure. My obedience and my servitude becomes the currency for my today, my tomorrow, and my forever. I think that's vitally important. Ricardo, I've never subscribed to that. And concurring with you 100%. If God is the creator of everything, even in bad times, good things are still supposed to happen.
Cool.
And so I cannot and say I'm a believer in his word, give in, but have I remained obedient?
Yes.
I think the enemy's assignment is to distract, to discourage, and to deceive.
Wow.
And at this time, a lot of us have been distracted. We strive to discouragement, and we've been deceived. God hadn't changed who he is.
Yes. Wow.
He hadn't changed where he sits.
Yes.
by being kingdom believers,
Yep.
we subscribe to a kingdom that's not of this world.
Well, yes.
So now we have a right to expect supernatural support
Yes.
to
Yes.
come wherever the need is.
Yes.
So be encouraged, be vigilant,
Yes.
stay focused,
Yes.
and pursue living your most effective life.
Come on now. That's what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Listen, go back and watch the whole thing again. Write down which point stood out to you the most. And just go ahead and embrace today. I wanted Bishop Moore to join us to challenge someone. You know, Bishop, as we close this out, years ago, I was inspired. I was in a meeting at the Workers' House. For those of you in the Bahamas, it's called Workers. It was a meeting space. I've never shared this with Bishop Ellis, but Bishop Ellis was speaking in the front, and I remember him talking about Toastmasters. No, I heard him speaking, and then I heard him mention Toastmasters, and I asked him about, and they say you should join it if you're wanting to be a communicator. I rode a bike, Bishop, to that meeting. I was sitting in the back. I was a shy, quiet, very, very reserved guy. And something was said by a man that triggered something in me. And some 25 years later, look at God. And I'm here today to tell you, when you listen to what Bishop Awalski Moore shared with you, one thought can ignite something in you that 5, 10, 20 years later, you could say just one thing, one revelational thought can change your life forever. And you can't see, we've become too common with profound ideas that we think, oh, that was just good. No, that was life-changing. And if you embrace it at the right level, you could find yourself being so much of a bigger, better, dynamic gift to the planet. And so, Bishop Moore, thank you very much, sir. Blessings to you. Crush it today. Continue to do well. You know I'm here, man. However I can serve, assist. Thank you for always believing in me. Thank you for investing in my ministry and now my company, and over the years allowing me to be a part of assisting your team and those who serve there at your church. And so blessings to you, man. Looking forward to when we get a chance to connect in person again.
Take care, brother. I'm proud of you. Take care.
God bless.